Hey, I'm Russ.
And I'm Steve.
Growing up in the 80s, we were introduced to video games, movies, and technology that made a lasting impression on us and forever enriched our lives.
I think I'm gonna cry.
It's been a fascinating journey to be a part of, one that we constantly treasure.
Higher, booty.
Our goal is simple: share our magical moments of discovery and geek out with lovely folks, just like you.
Achievement unlocked.
So if you crave pixel goodness, memorable moments, and experiences that make your inner child do the happy dance, you've come to the right place.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Joygasm.
Ah, yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Joygasm. My name is Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360, and with me, as always, is my super duper sibling Steve, aka Xbox Live Stevavitch, as we execute episode 19 on this June 25th, 2017.
What's happening?
Oh, there he is, my bald and beautiful brother Steve. How you doing?
You always got to go to the bald route, Russ.
You know, I look at you and all I see is a very handsome dome.
You gotta show it off. You gotta show the chrome in the dome.
I could say something about, I don't know, my buff and beardly brother. Yeah. I'll throw that in the mix every now and then.
Thank you, Russ.
Yeah, my pleasure.
How are you?
I'm good. I was actually gone for a couple of days, as you well know. I had to go out of state to do some video production work, and it was quite the adventure, but I'm back home, and I'm very happy about that, being able to look across this table and stare into those beautiful blue eyes of yours.
Home again, jiggity jog. Or jiggity jig, depending on who's doing the jogging.
Indeed. If you guys have a question, comment, or just want to show us some love, you can find us on twitter.com @JoygasmTV. You can find us on facebook.com/JoygasmTV. You can also find us on soundcloud.com/JoygasmTV.
I want to hear from our international folks. I want to hear from them. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm really pumped. It was really cool to talk about that in a previous episode about just how it's expanding into the UK. We've got listeners in Spain and France and Japan, Canada, Germany. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, whatever's on your mind, just post it. Let's talk about it.
Let's get some coffee talk. And speaking of coffee talk, Steve was very thoughtful and generous and stopped off on his way over here to get me a caramel mocha.
It's because I love you, Russ.
I know you do, my brother. You're so thoughtful.
You're a good kid.
And I needed the pep because, like I said, the last 2 to 3 days has been busy. We'll just say it's busy. So I guess I could kind of go a little bit into that because I don't think I've even told you much about that.
Why don't you give us the cliff notes?
Well, I think I'll focus on mainly the adventures of travel. As everybody in the world knows, the airlines industry is...
They suck.
Yeah. I was trying...
Sorry, I had to say it. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a clever way of saying that, and I'm glad you took the bull by its horn, Steve.
I shouldn't overgeneralize though. They don't all suck. It's just the majority of the airport experience is crap.
It is one of the most worst run industries ever.
DMV airport. DMV airport. I don't know.
It's close. It's close. Yeah. Well, first things first, I had to get into a little puddle jumper, which is always fun because I couldn't even stand up straight as I'm going through the jet. Like the cabin of the jet forced me to be channeling into my inner Igor and be hunched over as I'm slowly but surely making my way through. And the seats, of course, are much too squished together.
It's easier for me than you.
It is. You know what? You probably could actually stand up in there. And my poor buddy, Mr. Nick Goodrich, who I lovingly refer to as Senor Bueno Rico. He's taller than I am. That dude is like 6'3", 6'4", or something like that. I felt so bad for him trying to make his way through there. But anyway, it was okay. We had positive attitudes. We just thought to ourselves, you know what, we're gonna muscle our way through this. It's gonna be all good. And really, it wasn't until we landed, we had to do some work in Birmingham, Alabama. And apparently there was a tornado that touched down the same day that we arrived. And so that was fun, having to navigate that. And then as we were finishing up our work and having to try and leave, of course, there were delays in the actual aircraft that was picking us up. And then we had a connecting flight that we missed. And so then we had to spend an extra night in Atlanta, Georgia, which that was fun too when you get in there and it's like 1 a.m. and you're trying to figure out just where you're supposed to go. You know, the airport was saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna give you a hotel accommodations because our flight was delayed due to mechanical failure." Did you know this, by the way, that if your flight is delayed due to weather conditions, that at least certain airlines will not honor that?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that. Yep. I just figured, hey, if it was a no-show, that they would try and compensate the travelers. But apparently, no. Like they include any kind of quote unquote acts of God as beyond their control, and therefore they shouldn't have to compensate you. Which I was just like, huh. Well, that once again, Steve, could you please reuse the word you just said before? It's crap. Well, yes. But anyway, we were lucky enough that this was actually due to mechanical failure. And so, yeah, we got to go into a Disney-sized line in the Atlanta airport, which, by the by, the Atlanta airport is one of the largest airports in the United States. And to be in a line where there's not going to be some sort of joyful ride at the end of it, like, you know, Disney's Haunted Mansion or Indiana Jones or anything like that.
Space Mountain.
But it was weird because, like, I felt bad for the people who were still awake, who were like dealing with all these pissed off travelers. But at the same time, I'm just thinking, golly, this is just terrible. Oh, and the other thing too is there was a guy who was buffing the floors, and you would think that he would find some other square footage of the airport to buff those floors while all these people are there. Because, I mean, it's super loud due to like the compressor and everything else. Nope, he stayed there, and we were in line for 2 hours. So for 2 hours, we heard this like industrial strength compressing just the whole time. Even when we were up, finally it was our turn, I had to ask the lady, I'm like, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Because I didn't catch anything you just said. Because at one point, like his buffer stalled or something. It like went down. I just used that that moment to like just really try and get as much of a data dump from her as possible before I went deaf again.
Man.
So
it'd be funny if you start yelling out, "Is there a ride at the end of this line? Or some sort of roller coaster? Happy ending something?"
It was just nuts. Because even like as we were moving forward, the line kept growing behind us. Because we were like, you know, you reached the initial part of the line where you're the last in line. You're thinking, oh man, this sucks. And then you realize after time has gone by, you're like, wow, this line is really wrapping. And I remember how there are times in the news where they'll cover some sort of like massive airline cancellation situation at an airport, and they have the news crews just kind of walking down those long lines of hapless travelers that are stuck at an airport. And Atlanta has always been one of those airports where like, oh, you're not going to believe this. Check a look at this here, Timmy. We got all these passengers, all they're stuck. We don't know what they're going to do. Da, 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 da. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am now one of those people. Like we didn't have a news crew, but still I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. This is totally it. So anyway, we were trying to get a taxi that was also provided by the airline, and that whole entire setup is also very much flawed. We'll just say flawed. How about that? We ended up calling them up to have them pick us up, and they ended up cutting us off and saying, okay, we'll come and get you. And we're like, well, wait a minute. We haven't given you our names. You don't know where we are in this. This airport is huge. Like, well, it's not like there's like one little dinky spot where like you pick people. I mean, it was just to the point where I'm like, okay, I am taking executive action here. We're going to call an Uber and we're going to get this thing settled. So we did just that and made it to the hotel. I actually when we got dropped off at the hotel, I forgot my personal phone in the Uber car.
Oh my goodness.
So we leave the car, we go back into the lobby area to start checking in for our rooms. And all of a sudden I got this like sick feeling in my stomach. And I realized, oh no, I have totally forgotten my phone. So then we like both Nick and I are frantically trying to figure out how to contact the Uber driver. And at first we were thinking, oh, he had called us to try and figure out where we were located. So let's just use that number. So I used that number.
It's not going to work.
It didn't work.
Nope.
No, it's like, oh, welcome to Uber. We're so happy you. And like, no. So we were going through the app, and luckily, and actually for you listeners out there who use Uber, this could be a little, I don't know if you guys already know this or not, but for us, it was the first time trying to figure this out. There is an option in there to be able to tap in there like you've lost an item or something and you need to contact your Uber driver. And so, wow, so glad that is a part of the app, because we were able to do that. The only problem was that I didn't have my phone. So I told Nick, I said, hey, I need to use your phone. Do you mind if I use your phone number for him to call you instead? He's like, oh yeah, sure. No problem. So I plug it in. The guy ends up calling, but Nick misses the call.
Oh.
And I'm just like, no.
Good. Great.
The whole time I'm just like, this cannot be. And by the way, this is like 2:38 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so not happening right now. And
I remember, and that's legit too, because I was texting you over on this side because we were having storms over here. I'm thinking like, I hope Russ is delayed. This is going to be like kind of a crazy landing, you know?
Right.
And then I was up for a little while because I love the storms, and you were texting me at our time, which is about an hour behind Atlanta time. Like, man, he's still up. This is pretty late for us.
Yeah. So catch this. So we're like, we missed the call. We're like, oh no, now we have to go through the app again. Hopefully he'll won't think that we're just harassing him or something. So as I'm doing that, Nick happens to look out toward the open, pickup area of the hotel. And he says, hey, wait, is that our car? Was that our Uber driver right there? And I look out, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I think he just pulled back around over here. So I go back out to the car and I see him and he doesn't see me, and I motion for him and he rolls down his window, and I said, hey, I think I left my phone in your car. And he's like, really? He said, yeah, I came back because someone had ordered an Uber. So I just came back to pick someone else up. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Wow.
And so I looked in the back, and sure enough, my phone was right there on the back seat. I mean, literally the window of opportunity to be able to recover my phone with that vehicle at that time. I mean, it was like the stars aligned, and I was just like, wow, man. Thank you, God. Like it was so crazy. And so we had kind of a bonding bro moment. Both the Uber driver and I were just like, all right, that's awesome. You got the car. I mean, what are the chances? Yeah. All right. Well, you have a great night. Yeah, man, you too. I mean, it was just, I would have totally lost like so much information on that phone. So then the next morning, of course, we were able to get back. And so as a result, the last 3 days, I have not had a chance to like watch anything or play anything. I've been able to play a little bit when I got back, but, I mean, it's so funny. Every time anybody goes on a trip somewhere, there's always some sort of, I don't know, drama that goes on or something that occurs. It's just, it makes me think about like, on the one hand, the travel has really improved over the decades, just the years and everything else, to the point where now you can fly from like one side of the country to the other, or you could fly globally and be somewhere within 14 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. Versus back in the day when you were like on horseback and you had like your little Oregon Trail style thing. Like you would go from like one side of the country to the other, and by the time you arrive there, you'd be like a completely different group of people. Like somebody would die along the way, or like you'd have like a couple of new kids, or someone would lose a limb. Yeah,
someone had typhoid, or
I remember Oregon Trail too. Like you'd have those little thieves that would steal your stuff in the middle of the night. Like, you bastard!
You had to cross the river or something like that, or you had to hunt something. But although Oregon Trail, I did find, Russ, if you're the banker, you have the most money, you can buy like a ton of bullets. And you can buy like everything like to outfit your wagon.
It's good to be a banker.
Yeah. And so like sometimes when we had to hunt for meat, I just like spin around 360 as much as I couldn't hit the space bar to shoot, and I'd kill everything in sight. Like my family was fed.
We're having beef again tonight.
We're having beef with a side of squirrel.
That game was always really fun. I'm totally digressing off this thing, but just thinking about it, that was like the one game that back when I was in elementary school, like, the teachers deemed it as like, oh, well, this is educational.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'll play the crap out of this. So I don't have to play or learn anything else.
Be a survivalist or be a banker. Well, be a banker in the Oregon Trail for crying out loud. You're gonna survive.
I always got stressed out whenever it was like, well, when do you want to leave on your journey? What time of year do you want to leave? And I'm like, oh.
Well, recess ends in 15 minutes, so like now?
Yeah. I could go in the springtime, but that would mean I would arrive maybe in the winter. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll leave in the winter, but then again, it's gonna be hot in the sun. I don't know. That's when you're like in 5th or 6th grade. You have these huge moments of stress in the game. Like, how am I going to survive this? But I do remember one of the things that was really exciting about the game was when you got to the very end. Remember when you're going down that river and it's almost like the game had this little version of Frogger where you're having to dodge. I think it was like you were having to dodge logs in the river or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly how
that was
it
close
was.
to the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I remember like the whole time you're just like, you're constantly reading what is essentially, it's a text message game, essentially what it is. You see these still images like, oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. And then all of a sudden you get this action packed scene. You're like, oh, I can actually move in real time. What? Oh, what? Yeah. I'm not prepared for this.
Those logs are coming fast.
Yeah. Those white logs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. Or no, it wasn't white. They were like green back when I was playing it. So I did, however, get a chance to play more Injustice 2, as you well know, Steve.
I do.
You were sitting there next to me like a good loyal sibling, the way you are, and I was letting my brain veg after all the craziness that had transpired. And I got to tell you, which we did talk a little about yesterday, I went through, for those who are listening, and I wanted to replay through the story mode of Injustice 2 to try and get the Superman ending, because I had gone through initially as Batman, since Batman's my favorite character. And I gotta say, one of the things that I do not like about Injustice 2 is their interpretation of Superman. And I think it's, I don't know, like they, for lack of a better way of saying it, I mean, they make him look like a jerk. I mean, like, they just, maybe even, jerk is putting it like really softly. I'm trying to keep it clean. I'm trying to.
Try. That's a key word.
Yes.
Do or do not. There's no try.
Yeah.
Away with your weapon. I mean, you know harm.
So, yeah.
Mine.
Now I got Yoda on the brain. I've totally lost it. Okay. So, yeah, I was curious about why NetherRealm Studios decided to go that direction with the Superman character. I mean, even the ending with Superman was just really twisted and just made him almost like a villain. And I get it. I could see how they wanted to purposely go that way just because Superman is such the Boy Scout and they wanted to kind of throw a curveball at it. But I don't know. At the same time, it's like Superman is such a classic, iconic character. There are certain characters that you really, if you bend it too much, then you begin to kind of lose a bit of what makes that character so unique in the first place. So, ooh, excuse me, I just had a coffee burp. Ooh,
nasty.
Ugh, caramel goodness. Or is it? Or do you pronounce it caramel?
Caramel.
Caramel caramel.
Now I'm glad we're not in the closet anymore because I'd be breathing that in right now.
We've upgraded.
Okay, yeah.
Wafting.
They used they used 2-week-old coffee grounds in there, and there's corn syrup. That's what it is. Yeah, corn syrup
mixed with a Nature Valley bar. I could tell the chocolate with peanuts. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I got the achievement for it for being able to unlock all the different forks in the road and that sort of thing, which you helped me out. Thank you very much, Steve, for being able to memorize all those.
That's what I do, Russ. I'm like your support bro.
Mm-hmm. You're like, what? you're like my support bra?
I don't get in the way, but I'm there when you need me.
That's right. Yeah. My moobs could always use a support bra, just like you, Steve. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Need a good lift every now and then.
That's right. Don't we all?
So yeah, what about you? What have you been playing or / watching?
Let's see here, Russ. Let's see. What have I watched? Oh, I watched Finding Dory.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's okay.
Okay.
I love Pixar.
Did you like Finding Nemo initially?
You have to ask me that question.
I don't remember. Did I ever watch that with you?
Yes, we saw it in the theater.
We did. Are you
in
sure?
San Jose.
Oh.
Okay. I was right there.
Mind like a steel trap, this one.
Right. No, I loved Finding Nemo.
Okay.
Loved Finding Nemo.
Yeah, seriously, one of my favorites.
So I wanted to watch this one. This one doesn't really have the magic that the other one did. It is entertaining. But it's not. It's hardly a Choco movie. It's entertaining. It's just not funny. Finding Nemo was funny and it was entertaining, and then had pull on the little feels a bit, and the animation was incredible.
Feels.
I'd say watch it on Netflix because that's where I watched it, but don't go out and.
I didn't know it was on Netflix.
It was on Netflix, Red.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I watched. Otherwise, I've been playing Overwatch.
Oh, I love it when you talk dirty to me.
And I will tell you, Russ, there's a couple new things. I found out where actually to play Horizon.
Oh, where do you go?
It's an arcade, actually. Remember how we were waiting for that to change up?
Yeah.
So it was like, 6-on-6 in this mode. Oh, 6 on this, 6 in this mode. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can just do quick play and it's 6-on-6, so whatever. It's in there.
So it's on the elimination, 6-on-6?
No, you go in the arcade and one of the little selectable modes is just Horizon. So you select that and you're going to the Horizon map and you just play, get the objective sort of thing. You know what I'm saying, Russ?
Have I?
No, you haven't.
Okay.
You haven't seen it, Russ.
Well.
And so, and the map is it's a decent map. It's different, than a lot of the other ones. So they did a decent job on it. I like it. You can go outside and kind of have this zero gravity kind of thing. You jump real high. And they made that a separate mode. So if you're in arcade, instead of choosing Horizon, you can choose zero gravity, which is basically quick play. But your characters just do these long jumps, like they can just jump and jump and for days. So
I bet playing Tracer would be really cool in that kind of environment because you could be like jumping up, floating, and all of a sudden she could just dart back and forth, avoiding gunfire.
It adds a pretty sweet dynamic because certain characters you can fly or climb up walls. No problem. Pharah, Diva, Genji, Hanzo, whoever. But if you're somebody else like Tracer or Bastion, or you can only just kind of hop here and hop there, right?
Yeah.
But now you go and like just springboard all the way up.
So this is part of the 6v6 elimination.
Well, it's in. I mean, it's 6 versus 6. It's not necessarily elimination, but it's just a mode.
It's just 6 versus 6.
Yeah, it's a mode you can play in arcade. So you're not going to competitive. You're not going to.
I don't think I've played that.
You haven't.
So how does it work? Is it just like whichever team has the most amount of kills by the end of the timer wins?
Oh, it's regular objective stuff.
Oh,
attack, defend, objective A, objective B.
Oh, okay,
but everybody has zero gravity.
Has Capture the Flag come back yet?
No.
Dang it, man!
I know.
Capture the Flag is one of my favorite modes.
But yeah, it definitely offers a new dynamic because you're used to certain players sticking to the ground, and now they can jump pretty high. But at the same time, everybody loves jumping so high that it turns out to be like, okay, I know you love jumping so high, get back down to the floor.
Sure.
We need to still do the objective. And a lot of people just enjoy jumping around.
Boing, 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 boing.
But then when you go back to the regular game types,
would you say that they are feeling froggy, Steve?
They were feeling toady. So if you go back to the regular game type, then you have to get used to jumping like just a hop or a skip because your character just can't jump that high. And you're like, oh, I kind of want to go back to the other game type, but that game type made me irritated. So I want to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it's definitely worth a try.
Okay.
Definitely worth a try. And
I'm pumped. Yeah, I want to check it out. Maybe I'll try it out tonight.
And if the loot boxes are back on top, like every third match that you win, you get a loot box. Good. So if you play Horizon or you play Zero Gravity and you win, then it just adds to the loot boxes that you can get.
Excellent.
Yes.
Have you been playing anything else?
No.
Oh, you've just been a very loyal Overwatch player, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
We have some news for that precise title.
Yeah, Russ.
We do indeed. I don't know if you're ready to just hop right into gaming news.
Let's just zero gravity right in, Russ.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me, Steve.
Cue the music.
Just go ahead and gyrate in your chair while I do this. All right, to kick things off, Sonic Mania vinyl announced. Pre-orders open in July. According to IGN, Sega and Data Discs have announced a special Sonic Mania vinyl album. According to Data Discs' product page, pre-orders will go live mid-July. The album, which is listed for $19.99, roughly $25 USD, and will release soon, quote-unquote, will feature select music from composer T. Lopes and come packaged in a heavyweight gatefold sleeve with UV spot varnish, which is pretty cool. One of the things I think is noteworthy about a headline like this is that there seems to be a growing trend to go back toward collecting vinyl albums because you have a whole generation like millennials who were never really around during the heyday of the records.
It's been happening for a while, Russ.
It has, but like it's cool to see, like especially with pop culture, like Mondo has been really instrumental in coming out with all of these other vinyls too, regarding like Batman or Superman or Toy Story, like all these different types of IPs. So the vinyl record will also include a printed inner sleeve featuring a few characters from the game, as well as a download code for the album in lossless and lossy formats, and gatefold artwork of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles exploring Green Hill Zone Act 2.
I like that lossless.
Yes, lossless is a very, very lovely thing.
I like it.
The album will be available in 180G translucent blue and 180G classic black. A 180G limited edition will also be available, details for which are forthcoming. Sonic Mania will be released digitally on August 15th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, so they're covering all their bases. Next up, Call of Duty. Modern Warfare Remastered standalone PS4 release confirmed, out next week. IGN reports Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered will be available as a standalone release for PS4 next week. The game, which was previously only available with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Special Editions, can be purchased both physically and digitally on a PS4 starting June 27th for $40. Along with the full campaign, it will include its original 16 base maps. While initially only available on PS4, a standalone release for other platforms will follow sometime in the future.
I like where they're going with the remakes. Mm-hmm. Big fan of the remakes.
In celebration of Modern Warfare Remastered's standalone launch, players will be able to compete in a 5-week seasonal event called Call of Duty Days of Summer on June 27th. The community celebration will include XP events, in-game giveaways, a new summer-themed map for Modern Warfare Remastered, new gear, and more. That's pretty cool, actually. Call of Duty has just been able to really maintain its presence no matter what, even with the remaster versions of the games. I mean, every time I see an article like this, people just go gaga over it.
Of course. That's what I've been preaching for a while now.
Yeah, and I still need to I need to try out the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare multiplayer just to see what all the hoopla's about on that. But I also need to play Battlefield 1. That's still a game.
I'll bring that one over. In July, I'll bring it over, Russ.
Okay. Moving right along, Bungie begins winding down Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris in Destiny 1. So I'm sure our good buddy Nick will be wanting to hear all about this. According to IGN, in its latest announcement, Bungie has announced that some of Destiny's live competitive events will soon no longer be available. Both the Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris PvP events are appearing for the final time on August 1st and 11th, respectively.
Trials of Osiris.
Before being reworked for Destiny 2. While Bungie doesn't reveal what forms they will take in the upcoming sequel, it does promise that they will definitely reappear in unexpected ways. While these changes won't affect other weekly activities, the update does include a list of tasks that the players may want to accomplish before August 1st in order to unlock emblems in Destiny 2.
Oh, Destiny 2.
Jumping into Overwatch and Hearthstone to reduce number of, check this out, Steve.
Yes.
Duplicate loot items. IGN reports that in separate videos, Overwatch game director Jeff Kaplan and Hearthstone game director Ben Brode have revealed changes that both development teams are making to improve their respective in-game loot reward systems. Quote, "We are going to make a significant improvement to the loot box experience," Kaplan explains, stating that the team is going to drastically reduce the rate of duplicates that you will get out of any loot box. The game director also addressed addresses the potential issue this could cause. Duplicates are a major source of in-game currency, used to buy specific loot items. To compensate for this, Overwatch players will earn an increased amount of credits out of loot boxes, which Kaplan has promised will mean that credits will be the same, if not more, without duplicates. This doesn't mean that Overwatch players will be entirely free from duplicate items. Kaplan reminds us to keep in mind that the system doesn't have infinite content, so at some point, you're obviously going to get duplicate items, end quote. These changes come alongside the addition of in-game video capture, which allows players to record their highlights in high resolution regardless of their gaming setup. Overwatch's changes to loot boxes are available to experience now on its PC public test servers. So I guess us console folk will have to wait a little bit longer. Of
course.
Dude, I am pumped about that because, as you and I have talked a ton about, as well as our buddies online, I mean, we're at the point in the game where there's so much that you know, we're getting loot box after loot box, and it's just these duplicates over and over and over again, which is saying something in terms of like the amount of time that we've invested in the game, considering how many characters are in the roster. So it's nice to see that they're starting to finally do some tweakage to that.
Right. Well, plus sometimes when you get a duplicate of like a skin, that skin itself costs anywhere from 75 credits to like 1,000 or 3,000 credits. But if you get a duplicate, it's like, oh, well, here's like 50 or 100 or something like that. You're like, what? This is a legendary skin. Like,
Yeah.
This will cost me like 5 times, you know, to purchase.
Absolutely. One other thing worth mentioning is that Hearthstone's card pack improvements will also begin soon, with Broad announcing, starting with our next expansion, every time you open a legendary card, it'll be one you don't already have. Which makes me wish that Overwatch would do something like that. And other Overwatch news.
Yes.
Overwatch. Heroes of the Storm skins added to regular loot boxes.
Skins?
So, like, you know, like the Diva police officer one,
Yes.
and the awesome Genji one, the one I've been wanting forever and a day.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 of Overwatch's Heroes of the Storm skins have been added to regular loot boxes. As reported by VG247, players can now find the Officer Diva and Oni Genji skins in standard loot boxes for the first time, as previously these 2 skins could only be attained by playing Blizzard's free-to-play PC game, Heroes of the Storm.
Do you know what Oni stands for, Russ?
No, I don't.
Or not stands for, it's Japanese for demon.
That would make sense considering the fact that the skin, he does look rather like a handsome devil.
That old game that I used to play for, well, I think it was PlayStation, Onimusha.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
It stands for Demon Hunter. Indeed, Russ.
Learn something new every day. Thank you for that, Steve.
Indeed.
Pokemon Go, which is a game that I love to play on my iPhone, reopens gyms with new features. IGN reports that after being taken offline for a few days, Pokemon Go gyms have reopened. Developer Niantic. I don't know if I'm supposed to pronounce this Niantic or Niantic. We'll just go with Niantic. Niantic? I don't know. Niantic. We'll say, how about Niantic?
All these complex words, I can't take it.
I know. Just call me the word butcher. They announced on Twitter today, currently only players level 35 and above can participate in the game's new raid battles. But more updates are expected to roll out in the coming days. Niantic has added a few new updates that completely redesign gyms in the game. Instead of being based on prestige, gyms will now only allow a maximum of 6 Pokemon and only 1 of each type. That's actually a huge game changer, because I remember playing in the gyms and like you'd have like 5 or 6 of the same highest powered Pokemon, and it was almost like impossible to try and get through, because the whole point is that if you're a challenger, you know, the gyms are all over the map. Like you have to find one on your phone. You get there and you're like, okay, I'm going to use a string of my Pokemon to try and beat the other ones out. And then you can place yours in there as kind of the king of the hill type of scenario.
Right.
So it became increasingly difficult because all of the highest level Pokemon Go players would just dominate all of these gyms all across the globe with like their highest ranking Pokemon and so forth.
Sure.
So. Anyway, you can also.
I was going to say, what else you got for us, Russ?
Oh, a whole lot more, Steve. You can also now earn items at gyms by spinning a photo disc like you do at Pokestops, plus earn a variety of gym badges. The way you battle Pokemon at gyms has also changed, as you'll no longer go up against the weakest Pokemon first. Instead, you will battle Pokemon in the order they were placed in the gym. Other Pokemon Go updates include raid battles and plenty of new items. So this actually makes me want to get back in and play, because I was like super hardcore into Pokemon Go there for a while, and then I just kind of lost interest because I kept getting the same lower end Pokemon over and over and over again, like the Ratatats. I was just like, okay, I've had enough of this. But this might get me to get back into it again. And actually, speaking of like, the whole trip out there with the airport incident and stuff, Nick was totally running all over the airports with this new gym. And he's like, oh, this is great. Oh, man, you got to get back into this. This is fun. I think I dig this. And so I was looking into it via the articles, like, okay, well, maybe I'll have to give us a fair shot. Yeah, the 2017 Steam Summer Sale is now live for all you crazy Steam gamers out there. IGN reports the yearly Steam Summer Sale is upon us once again, and if you can actually manage to access the overloaded Steam client or website, you'll find some great deals on awesome games that won't hurt your wallet too much. It runs today through July 5th and includes its own Summer Sale sticker quest. Nier Automata, Grand Theft Auto 5, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Hitman Season 1, and Mafia 3 have been discounted in the $20 to $40 range. But you can also grab some popular games for under $10, including South Park, The Stick of Truth, which is awesome. If you haven't played that, you guys should totally go out and get it. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, another good game. Darkest Dungeon, Rust, and Stardew Valley. I am not a Steam user since I'm more of a console guy, but I mean, I know plenty of people who absolutely swear by Steam, so I'm sure they are getting their Joygasm on right about now.
Indeed.
Skull and Bones. Remember the game from E3 that I believe it was Ubisoft that showed off?
Yeah, Boopysoft.
Skull and Bones will have a story campaign, which I was happy to hear about. IGN reports that while it was introduced very much as a competitive multiplayer game, Ubisoft has confirmed that its pirate ship Battler, will come with a story component, but it's a little unclear what form that will take. Speaking to PC Gamer, an Ubisoft representative said the game will offer a narrative campaign, which will be integrated into the game and will not be something aside of the multiplayer experience. In this campaign, players will encounter iconic characters and memorable rival pirates. More details will be shared at a later date. So, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a step up from, what's the other one? The Sea of Thieves?
Sea of Thieves, yeah. Those two games are taking kind of a unique approach, and I'm not sure which one I'm more excited about. But
I would say I'm more excited about Skull and Bones than Sea of Thieves, because I haven't got on the boat. Of all these, multiplayer kind of stuff. You have to, in order to play the game, you have to get with other people to. It's just not me, Russ.
It's understandable, Steve.
Russ?
Yeah, Steve.
I have something else to contribute to the news.
Oh, the gaming news? Oh, please do share.
But you don't have to cue the music, Russ.
Are you sure? I could, you know what? Here you go.
No,
I'm going to give you some.
I can't dance and read at the same time.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve has a news item to discuss. Go right ahead, Steve.
Okay, I'm going to try and attempt to read. Okay, so this is not going to be near detailed as what you
you do realize you can't read or write, Steve.
Don't diss me on the air, Russ. So, I was bored, and I was watching a bunch of YouTube, right? And trying to
go around bored.
Yeah, trying to calm my brain down from losing a bunch of competitive matches on Overwatch. Yeah. And so then I saw some Overwatch news from the channel of Overwatch News.
Hey, how about them apples?
So they said that summer games are coming back.
Summer games are coming back. Now remind me, what are the summer games?
Well, I didn't own Overwatch back then, so I can't say what summer games were.
But I might not have even owned Overwatch myself.
I don't think you did. But from what I've seen, certain characters have certain games they can play. Like Lucio has the little soccer game he can play.
Oh,
so
the Olympic summer games. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So certain characters can do different activities, right?
Right.
So that's supposed to come back possibly next month, Russ.
Oh, I wonder if they're gonna unlock those. Surely they're gonna unlock those skins again.
Well, they said they are coming with more skins.
Oh, even more skin goodness.
Not everybody's going to get a skin, of course. Everybody can't get something, you know, but more stuff is coming out. And so this is from the site that I saw, and he's quoting his inside source. Inside source, Russ. So there's going to be a new character.
A new character. So, but this is a rumor, though. This is not official.
But it's not official, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you why. It's been leaked from the source.
Okay.
That Doomfist is going to come out.
Oh, Doomfist is finally going to make his big triumphant introduction.
Correct. And the reason why it's coming out is because this source that I was reading, the Overwatch news guy, he was showing these. Battle.net, I guess they were. Battle.net crash reports.
Just call it Battle.net.
Battle.net crash reports. And in there, with all the little, ones and zeros and coding, whatever, that's like, Doomfist / Summer Games 2017, amidst all the other things. So, from that, I mean, I don't know what day it's going to come out, but from that, it's not official, but I didn't mean it. That's definitely something.
Definitely caused the pupils to dilate a little bit.
Yeah. And now I got one more thing for you, Russ.
Oh, one more thing.
You know how you and I both like the cinematics that they brought out?
You're talking about like how Blizzard does the little pre-rendered cinematics here and there
that Pixar quality stuff they
move
did.
the story forward. Yeah,
they said more of them are coming out, Ron.
That's what I love to hear.
And the reason why he knew that is because someone was interviewing the Lucio voice character.
Okay.
And he was saying that he had to go back to Blizzard to do more voice acting from some animated thing that's coming out.
Some pickups, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of blurted it out, and not that that was a bad thing that he said it, but at the same time, we all eat it up anyway, so some stuff to look forward to in the coming months.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, I could do some news every once in a while.
That's to give me a break. Yeah, appreciate that. I could listen to you all day.
I felt, thanks for, paying attention to me for that news segment. I felt really accepted. All right.
Did you feel like you got to contribute a little bit?
I did. I got my own music.
Oh, well, why stop there? How about we segue into movie news? Are you ready for that, Steve?
I'm ready.
Alrighty, here we go. Spider-Man Homecoming first reactions from critics are overwhelmingly positive.
Overwatch.
No, close, but no cigar. It's like overwhelmingly.
I'm sorry, I don't know. That wasn't really that funny, but I don't know.
Oh, no, don't try and backpedal. That was good. That was pretty good. So I made a list of different folks who have actually had the chance to watch this movie already. IGN reports Sony has lifted the social media embargo for critics who have already seen Spider-Man Homecoming, and the initial response on Twitter is overwhelmingly positive. I'm going to stop right there just for a moment. It's interesting that Sony had some sort of sway in this because the movie is, to my understanding, was completely created by Marvel Studios. So why or how? I mean, there must be some sort of addendum to their. Once again, this contract fascinates the crap out of me because I'm just like, how on earth do they navigate these channels? But anyway,
it's an interesting image you gave me there, Russ. I'm seeing you in my mind, fascinating yet taking a dump.
Yeah, in 1984, a burger he had. Okay, so IGN Movies executive editor. Oh no, let's see if I can get this right. Jim Vivoda. We'll do that. Vivoda shared his thoughts about Holland's solo debut on Twitter. Quote, "I can finally tell you Spider-Man Homecoming is great fun. Very funny, sweet, smaller stakes, but more relatable. Tom Holland rocks." From, let's see, Mashable Deputy Entertainment Editor Aaron Strecker also had positive things to say about the film, noting it, quote, "had a good old classic teen comedy hidden in there, which was a delight. Additionally, Comic Book Now host Brandon Davis called Homecoming endless fun, from the second to the last flawless." IGN Comics editor Joshua Yell, as well as Mashable Movies reporter Angie J. Hahn, Uproxx senior entertainment writer Mike Ryan and LA Times' Jin Yamato all had positive things to say about the movie. Starting with Joshua Yells, he said that Spider-Man Homecoming felt just like reading a Marvel comic book. Other heroes appear, heart-stopping twists, and bursting with humor. Angie Hans said, quote, Spider-Man Homecoming is fantastic, perfectly cast. Does an impressive job of balancing superheroics and high school drama. Mike Ryan, quote, Spider-Man Homecoming is an absolute gosh darn delight.
Gosh darn.
It's like Spider-Man meets Can't Hardly Wait. Jin Yamato. My bad. It was at the very last part of my notes. I had to scroll up and I lost my place. Jin Yamato said, quote, my Spider-Man Homecoming take. Tom H, meaning Tom Harlan, is better than Toby. High school stuff works. Avengers verse doesn't, and it's a benchmark for blockbuster diversity. So and they actually had more and more. I just didn't want to like read off every single one, but like both of us I think are really excited to see this movie because it's been a long time coming to see like a really proper Spider-Man film. Proper.
What was that guy Joshua Yell?
Yeah.
As in like Yell?
No, it's his last name is spelled Yehl.
Oh, I was going to say, what's his name? Joshua. Ah!
What? No, that's not how you spell his
I cracked
name.
myself up. I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. Moving right along. Transformers The Last Night has franchise's lowest opening, but China may save it. It seems like domestic audiences may have tired of Michael Bay's Transformers movies. The fifth film in the series, Transformers The Last Night, had a lackluster opening weekend at the North American box office, only making $45.3 million from Friday to Sunday. The Michael Bay directed movie has earned $69.1 million since opening Wednesday. To put that into perspective, the second lowest grossing opening weekend for a Transformers film was the very first one in the Michael Bay series. That movie grossed $70.5 million in its opening weekend, but that was also a decade ago. When you adjust for inflation, The Last Night's opening weekend becomes just that much more lackluster. However, all is not lost. The last two Transformer films, Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, each made over $1 billion worldwide, thanks to larger international turnouts than the film had domestically. The Last Night is off to a strong start overseas with a worldwide launch of $196.2 million. A whopping $123.4 million of that came from China alone, which gives the film a total global box office debut of $265.3 million. Transformers The Last Night will need to continue to perform strongly internationally if it's to be considered a success. So, this actually, while we're on this, our topic of the day will be to discuss the Michael Bay Transformer films. It looks like you had something you were going to say there, Steve. Please, could you share it with the class?
Russ,
or you want to wait till we actually start talking about it?
I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll just bang my head against my microphone a couple more times.
Moving back to Spider-Man news, Spider-Man spin-offs, Venom, Silver, and Black are standalone movies separate from the MCU, producer Amy Pascal confirms. IGN reports there have been some confusion based on past interview comments from the producers of Spider-Man Homecoming as to whether Sony Pictures' Spidey spin-off films, Venom and Silver and Black, are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the same way as Tom Holland's Spider-Man is. Remember, we talked about this. We were going back and forth. IGN spoke on the phone today with one of the producers of those spin-off films, as well as Homecoming. Amy Pascal, who set the record straight regarding specific Venom and Silver and Black place, if any, in the MCU. Quote, "These are standalone movies," Pascal said. Citing 20th Century Fox's X-Men franchises as an example, Pascal explained that these Spidey spin-offs exist as Marvel movies in the same way as the X-Men films do, but not as facets of the Disney-owned MCU. Given then that Venom is separate from the MCU, does Pascal see Venom star Tom Hardy as the face of the anchor of this extended standalone Spidey spin-off universe in a way that doesn't require Sony to use Tom Holland or Spider-Man directly? Pascal said, "Know what I think? I think it's a way to make a really great movie. That's what I think. I think that Tom Hardy is a brilliant actor, and I think anchoring Venom with him is the anchor." So, End quote. I think that there was some dancing around there. Just I don't think the question has been officially answered yet, and I think it's once again. I think both sides are so lawyered up with this whole thing as they realize how much of a moneymaker the Marvel world is. But still, I am absolutely. If I could be a fly on the wall when they were hashing this whole thing out, I still don't understand. You know, if Sony is able to use Tom Holland, even though Marvel Studios has already used Tom Holland, but the way Sony is approaching the Marvel universe is vastly different from how it makes me, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my thought on it.
They'll figure it out as long as there's money to be made.
Yeah. And actually, I'm really pumped to see that Venom movie too. I mean, the Venom with the Carnage thing. That's just right. Tom Hardy. It's just, it's so good. I think it'll probably be something similar to what they've done with X-Men so far. You know, I think Sony, if I remember, I think Sony owns the rights to the X-Men movies too.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was 20th Century Fox. You know what? I am probably wrong on that. But anyway, that's it for movie news. I say we go on to our topic of the day, Steve.
Okay. About time.
So the topic of the day for us is Transformers, specifically the Michael Bay Transformer movies. The latest film that has come out, neither one of us has seen it, and neither of us have any interest in seeing it.
No desire.
I suppose let's go ahead and start off by giving the trailer a listen. How about that?
Trailer's actually really good.
I see. I don't.
Well, if you play in the Anthony Hopkins one,
let's take a look
or a listen. Okay, I'll stop.
As a legend, one of the greatest of all. 1,000 years we've kept it hidden to protect Earth from what was destined to arrive.
Optimus Prime, you destroyed your home. Do you seek redemption?
My maker, I do.
Your daughter, what would you say to her?
Brush your teeth, work hard. Stay away from any boy in a band, especially a drummer.
These are troubled times. Without leaders, chaos reigns. Two worlds colliding. You're all that stand in its way. And now the greatest mission of them all, to turn the tide of human history. The imminent destruction of everything we know and love begins.
I'm not leaving you.
When all seems lost, a few brave souls can save everything we've ever known.
The operation is over.
We're not giving up on Prime, okay?
I want to stay, and I want to fight them.
For my world to live, yours must die. Transformers, The Last Night.
So that was one of the trailers they had come out with it, and I guess what we can do is start off with the fact that both of us are Transformers fans. Growing up as kids, we were into the cartoon.
Sure.
Loved me some Optimus Prime, loved me some Bumblebee, just all the whole crew. And even when the first movie came out, I absolutely really did love the first film. Like I
everybody loved it.
Yeah, some people I talked to, they were like, "It was pretty good. It was pretty good." You know, like just people have different opinions on it. But I think overall, in terms of just how they introduced the Autobots and Decepticons into cinema, I thought was really well done. It was a nice intro into that world, and I thought too that the plot, like the simple notion of a boy is able to win over the girl with his car. It's like a boy and his car scores the girl.
Right.
You know, what teenage guy can't relate to that?
Of course.
You know, so much of your identity at that point in time when you get your driver's license and you're just you experience that freedom and everything else. It's all about trying to win over the girl of your dreams. And it was cool because you had this Transformers wrapper that went around it, and you know, it was a fun, for me personally, it was a fun ride.
Yeah.
Then came Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, and that was just a train wreck of a movie. And that was during that time where there was a writers' strike going on with the Writers Guild. And so you could tell that the plot itself was just all over the map. And as a result, I mean, there were certain little pockets here and there that were amusing and fun, but overall, it didn't hold water next to the initial film. You fast forward to Transformers: Dark of the Moon, and actually that was, I felt, a redemption of a film, because you could tell that Michael Bay and company really paid attention to a lot of the criticisms that the fans had regarding Revenge of the Fallen, and so there were a lot more. There was a lot more attention paid to just trying to get the plot to actually be a bit more cohesive and make sense. And it was cool because they started to actually flirt with this whole notion of kind of altering some of the older historical events that have transpired. So like they took the whole, you know, first man on the moon with Neil Armstrong and Buzz, but then they added in some of their own little fiction into it, which I thought that was clever. It's like, okay, that's kind of a fun way of going about it.
Side note. Mm-hmm. Whenever I hear Buzz Lightyear, all I think of is
well, Buzz Lightyear is Toy Story.
I know, but that's what I think of. So when you say Buzz, as far as the moon is concerned,
astronaut.
yeah, exactly, the astronaut. I always think of Woody hitting Buzz on the armor on that
Buzz,
button.
Buzz,
Yes,
Buzz,
Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, I could see how that would. Buzz, Lightyear to the rescue. I'm going to take another swig of my coffee. Caramel nectar right there. Okay, so overall, I really enjoyed Dark of the Moon. I thought, wow, now they're back to true form. It was a bit of a bummer for me because I'm a huge Megan Fox fan. She's absolutely just hot. But due to all, as we all know, there were some sort of complications, some movie politics and stuff. I think she said some things that probably didn't do too well in terms of her relationships with
Michael Bay,
Spielberg, and Michael Bay. Yeah. But overall, I mean, even Rosie Huntington Whiteley, who came in and filled in as kind of the love interest for Sam, she did a nice job too. It's kind of like, wow, okay, well, I can get behind this. This is cool. And so then came Transformers: Age of Extinction, and this is where things once again started getting dicey. It's like this peaks and valleys thing.
That movie was terrible.
I mean,
if the second Transformers was a train wreck, this was like an abomination.
It was like the only redeemable thing about that was Lockdown.
Pretty much.
And I found him to be really intriguing with just the idea that he doesn't really play a side. He's this neutral character. He's up to his own devices, and he has his purpose that both sides are wary of. I thought that was cool. But yeah, just the whole thing it's just unfortunate too, because you had I really do like Kelsey Grammer as an actor, but I just felt like it was just so muddy, and I'm sorry, but I am not a fan of having Mark Wahlberg in a Transformers movie. I think he is a good actor in other films, but in terms of being cast for Transformers, I don't think that was the right choice. I think that he has a good relationship with Michael Bay ever since he did Pain and Gain, and that movie he was great in. Mm-hmm. But
I actually, sorry, finish your thought, Russ.
No, go ahead.
I actually like Mark Wahlberg, but I hated him in this movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is I like Mark Wahlberg in other films, but I feel like he was not a good choice for Transformers.
I think what happened is we got Mark Wahlberg light instead of just rated R Mark Wahlberg, serious, buff, beat the crap out of you Mark Wahlberg, which, I mean, it's Transformers. It's shooting, it's destruction, it's adrenaline pumped. It's supposed to be exciting.
Yeah.
And all we got is Mark Wahlberg going, oh, hey, yeah. Oh, hi, guys, let's get out of here. It was like a Mickey Mouse version of Mark Wahlberg. I'm like, this is what?
You know what's really funny? That the way that you said that reminds me like, well, no, not that part, but it was your impression of Mark Wahlberg. That's totally on point because like it doesn't matter what movie he's in. He kind of has that same kind of tone in his voice. Hey, buddy, I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
You need to get out. I'm like, what? Why?
But then you see him in like Lone Survivor, for example, and you're like, that's the Mark Wahlberg I like.
Or The Departed.
He
was awesome in The Departed.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies where he's really good. A lot of the heavy drama roles where he's good at. But this one, the epic failure of biblical proportions.
Yeah. When it comes back to the current day of Transformers: The Last Night, so we've come full circle here in the sense that when I have really in earnest tried to drum up some interest for seeing this film, simply because I am one of those people who do like some of the Transformer films in the past. And even the other ones like Age of Extinction, where I was watching the trailer, I didn't really exactly know what was happening, but I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. Let's just see what it's about. This time around, however, I just absolutely refused to go see the film. I felt like just based off the trailers alone, I don't know what the heck the plot's about.
Right.
I mean, from a visual standpoint, I've always been a big fan of how Michael Bay shoots his films. I've always liked the cinematography in it. I love the sweeping camera angles. He has a very signature style. You could tell, like it doesn't matter. Like even if you didn't know what movie it was that you were watching as a trailer, you could be like, that looks like a Michael Bay film.
That could be one of its errors, though.
True, it could be one of its errors.
Because I can tell you, I got really tired of each Transformer movie. I knew walking into the theater after buying my ticket, okay, there's going to be like 6 very slow down scenes, and we're going to get close up, and then they just overdo it, and pretty soon it's just not exciting anymore.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, like as a whole, like if you're watching, like if you're looking at like the entire composition and the way that the color grading is done, the contrast, so it's like, okay, that's cool. But yeah. That is one of the big issues that a lot of people have is the way that they are able to choreograph a lot of the fight scenes with the Autobots and Decepticons. A lot of times it's like you don't know who's who.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, to me, I remember George Lucas being interviewed a long time ago. And a quote that he said has always stuck with me is he said, "A special effect without a story is a pretty boring thing."
Exactly. On the mark.
Yeah. And so that comes to the forefront of my mind without, with Transformers in terms of just I'm watching this. And I don't like, there are all these new characters and I don't find any of them particularly interesting. Not to mention that there is an Autobot, I believe, that looks just like Bumblebee, but it's not Bumblebee. It's another Autobot.
Really?
Yeah. Like at first I thought, oh, maybe that's like a new design for Bumblebee, but apparently that character is not Bumblebee. It's like another one that looks just like him.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but the whole idea too of just this constant back and forth betrayal, treachery kind of thing, I feel like it's played out in Transformers. And honestly, I wish that they would go back to more of its cartoon roots of just they have some sort of headquarters inside this cave of this mountain, and they have all this high techery, and they're this huge unit. There are all the Autobots, or most of them live. They reside there, and I want to see more of that, especially like with how there's like a couple of humans that know they exist. It's kind of like a father and son thing where they go. I would love to see something realized with that, but as it stands, I look at that and I say, no, I am not going to go. I mean, maybe I'll watch it when it comes out on Netflix or something like that, but I refuse to spend $10+ on a film where I know for a fact it's just going to be a mess of a film. Like, well, no one's going to know what the heck is going on.
Or at least spend $10 to get bad entertainment.
What would you suggest in terms of like if there's a Transformer movie where they came to you, they're like, hey Steve,
Yes.
we have a suitcase here filled with $10 million and we will give it to you if you would just give us a high level synopsis of how you feel the next Transformer movie should be about.
So instead of a penny for your thoughts, it's $1 million for your thoughts.
$10 million.
$10 million.
Like, what would you like to see in a Transformers film from just a story standpoint?
I would like new blood for the director. I would like to see Michael Bay gone. Not that he's a bad guy, but need new directors, new vision, new sight.
Well, what about the story though?
Hey, this is $10 million. I'm giving you the whole freaking picture.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
So, I'd like to see also father and son. I mean, there was a Transformer animated movie that was out once where there was a father.
Transformers! I love the 80s.
Meets the eye.
The 80s rock band song.
Nice. So, I tried to do as best I could. I mean, I would like to see the Autobots working with what are the dinosaur, the Dinobots, whatever they were called, or whatever the dinosaur Autobots.
Yeah,
they're kind of the neutral ones. Yeah,
They were both in Age of Extinction, and I think they're in this one as well.
They played like just a little
dinky part,
coin toss. Yeah. But I also would like to see them transforming into more than just everyday cars. I mean, as a kid, they were transforming into a ton of stuff that was cool. Spaceships and tanks and...
Yeah, well, and it was weird, too, how, like, in the Michael Bay films, you have all of the Autobots essentially transforming into just cars.
Yeah.
And yet the Decepticons knew from a military standpoint, I mean, you have F-22 Raptor jets and tanks and everything. I mean,
you had spacecraft, too.
Yeah, but it was just thinking about the Michael Bay films for a second. It just didn't make. It's like, why would the Autobots intentionally choose like these civilian style vehicles when it came to fighting? You just wouldn't be able to do as much. I mean, you would think they would all choose aerial superiority, so that way. I mean, if you think about it, like they were sitting ducks all the time because the Decepticons could have easily just all transformed into flyable military craft, and then just be able to to pick them out of each little spot they were trying to hide in. So anyway, continue. Sorry.
I'd also like all the silly components to be taken out.
No more humor, he says.
Well, I mean, there could be humor, but if you, for example, if you go from Transformers 1 to Transformers 2, the humor is way different. I mean, you have in Transformers 2, you had all the little wacky robots that were like all urban and everything like that, and they were just thrown in there for just comic relief. But there was no need for comic relief. It's PG-13 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So they were just wacky people. They're like the Jar Jar Binks of Transformers world. Get them out. I don't want and part of what the drawback for Transformers 3 is that it wasn't that funny. Like they brought
Transformers 3?
Transformers 3.
Yeah. It was much more heavy.
Yeah, it was heavier, it was darker. And then that got our interest up because we weren't like, face palming the whole thing like, oh, these jokes are terrible. It's not funny. Who wrote this stuff?
I will interject here for just a second. I know that online there are tons of people who absolutely hate the whole scrotum of the Decepticon where I can't remember the actor here. I'm going to look it up real quick. I think his name is John Turturro, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yep, I was right. John Turturro, who I love him as an actor. He's a really, really funny guy. I, for one, actually thought that was a pretty funny moment when he's on the pyramid and he's like, I'm directly under animal scrotum.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, to me, I thought that was funny, but a lot of people online were just like, oh man, that was so dumb. I can't believe that. This is lame. And I was like, come on. It's a little crass, but it's for me, I thought it was pretty funny. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm a car guy too, so I do want to see some cool, mean-looking vehicles. It doesn't have to be everyday vehicles, but I want to see something cool. And that was part of the draw of number one, was that, for example, you had a really old-school, muscle-bound Camaro that Bumblebee was. It's not the new Camaro, fine, but there's a lot to like about the classic Camaro.
Yeah.
And remind me of being a little kid, because one of our next-door neighbors also worked on a Camaro, yellow, just like that. And when I was fascinated as a little kid,
yeah,
like, wow.
I remember that.
I mean, I was like, what, 4 or 5 years old, and I see these guys wrenching on this, supercharged engine. I mean, that's awesome stuff. And since they're like, oh, we'll just throw it in a Ferrari 458 and we'll show it for 6 minutes of the film, and that'll be it, or a Lamborghini, or like, okay, part of the Transformers is the vehicle spaceship aspect. So if you're going to remove that and just put it in fighting and shooting, well, I mean, what about what the rest of us like? And plus, with the first one, I mean, if you're a car guy and you see a hot chick working on the car, I mean, that's like the best of both worlds. And that one scene where Megan Fox goes, "Oh, let me open up the hood. Let me take a peek." I mean, every guy was in there. I mean, that was a great scene. I still remember that. Plus, I remember sitting in my biology class in college, and I was like, "Yeah, I like Transformers, but I'm going to see what everybody thinks of this before I go out and see it." And I remember overhearing conversations with girls and guys going, "Oh man, I love Transformers." I'm thinking that's like a group of chicks that are talking about Transformers. Okay,
Shia LaBeouf is so funny.
So funny. So
Love you, Shia.
So I thought, wow, girls like it, guys like it. Okay, this film must be good. But
going back to like a film that you would be looking for, like what would spin your beanie?
That's part of it. I'm a car guy. I want to see the vehicle and airship aspect. I want all the silliness gone. I want fresh blood as the director. I don't want it. I mean, I'm kind of tired of them fighting in the city. I want them probably to have different landscape, for crying out loud. That's just for starters. Story. I think that there's plenty of talent for people to write story, and there's plenty of material. There's a cartoon series, for crying out loud. There's villains out there. They don't keep having to go back to the same villains all over again. What was the villain's name? The
Megatron?
Megatron. I mean, how many times did they bring Megatron back?
So yeah, that is a really good point right there. Being a fan of Transformers, I was a fan of the cartoon. I didn't get into the comic books, and therefore I don't know all of the Transformers lore. You know what we should do actually is do some due diligence and see if we can find a Transformers specialist. Just because it'd be fun to even have them on the show and pick their brain a bit about just what other types of villains are within the world of Transformers. But I totally agree. I think that we have seen time and time again, all these films where Megatron tries to make a comeback, he almost does, and then he's defeated, which I suppose goes into the same, I don't know, the same approach that the cartoon does, where he's foiled again,
Oh, you failed me again, Starscream.
Yeah. But they don't for sure kill him. He makes an escape or something like that.
Right.
I mean, they've killed him and he comes back, and they killed him again. And then okay.
Yeah, that was one of the big issues too. Is I thought that it was had a finality to it in Dark of the Moon, where Optimus Prime just straight up offs them. He just kills the guy. So when he came back in Age of Extinction as Galvatron, it's kind of like, and I know Galvatron actually is in the comic books,
right.
So it does exist. But I was hoping for something else. I wanted to take a break from Megatron. It'd be nice if they could have some other kind of villain that was there, or some sort of exploration of some sort. But yeah, totally agree. I think that the whole approach that they've been doing to Megatron is not the right one. Not to mention the fact that it would be nice if they were just to get new blood on the series. Michael Bay should have ended it with Dark of the Moon, because that was on a high point, and then bring in a brand new director, brand new vision, redo the whole thing, see what, perhaps what the new kind of approach to the overall look and feel of the Transformers, the Autobots and Decepticons, how would they look? And also just approach all the source material from a different standpoint of how can we tell this story and be able to introduce more of the canon, more of the Transformers lore into this. And perhaps that would mean that maybe you make a film that doesn't revolve around being on Earth anymore.
Right.
Maybe you make a film that is completely based somewhere else in the universe, and there's some sort of calling that needs to happen, whether it be on Cybertron or somewhere else, but just have some sort of scenario that doesn't involve absolutely destroying some major city in the United States. That's one of the things, or not the United States, but just globally. Because in Age of Extinction, I think they were in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken, or China. I can't remember which one, but yeah, that was that was kind of tiring to see too. Where it's once again, there's this huge, supernatural event occurring that is warping in Cybertron into our world or whatever it is, and I just I just feel like it's starting to lose some of its luster.
You know what I'd also like to see replaced is the government. Because the government, I think, was taking too much of a role, like, oh, you got to do what we say. And I'm like, come on, when did that ever happen in the cartoon? When did that, I mean, come on, geez, get that out, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that they need to do away with that as well. And that would be cool with the reboot. I mean, I once again, I love the notion of just following what the cartoon did, where like they do exist, they have a headquarters on Earth, but it's very hush hush. It's very low key. Not many people know it exists or what have you. And that, you know, it pulls more into the mystique of Transformers. And they did that a little bit in the movies that have come out so far, where the government knows that they exist, but they for the most part are kind of hidden.
Right.
Although with the type of battles that they've had, it's like how many countless amounts of people have seen them either in person or on TV as like the whole hell's breaking loose.
Yeah.
So...
But I'm just thinking, the fan base was created a certain way, and the people writing the show may or may not have been a fan of the cartoon, but they see money to be made, and so they're going to write it maybe with their own vision. Mm-hmm. But their vision might not coincide with how the fan base was created.
Yeah.
Ergo, movies failing.
Right. You know, I would honestly like to see Steven Spielberg actually direct, because he's been, I think, an executive producer. He's either a producer or an executive producer. I can't remember, but he has been attached to the Transformer films, but just not in the director's chair.
Right.
And I feel like that would be a film that I would love to see him do his own version of. I feel like we've seen the Michael Bay vision. We're done with it. Okay. You know, there were a couple of decent ones in there, but
you know, I was thinking
pointing at me.
I'm pointing at you. I love to point at you.
It's rude to point, you know.
But we're family. You know, we're family. You know, I'm drawing a parallel here, Russ.
Oh. Are you sure it's not a perpendicular?
Maybe it is. Maybe it's adjacent to something of the sorts.
Oh, we're getting into geometry class.
I'm thinking of Batman.
Okay.
So you had Batman 1 with Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
Great film. Classic. Staple, right?
I heart that.
I thumbs up like it. And then you had Batman 2, maybe not as good as Batman 1, but still a really good film, right? And then it started kind of to go downhill with, you know, Batman Forever and then Batman and Robin. And
Batman Forever was a film when it came out, like it took a kind of a radical approach that was a bit different.
Right.
But it was a box office success.
Right. But I mean, it wasn't nearly as
it wasn't as good as Batman or Batman Returns, right?
So then you had Nolan reboot Batman.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not to say that the reboot Batman was better than the classic 1980s Batman at all, by a long shot. Two separate films, but two great films, you know, but two different visions.
Yeah, yeah.
I see that as happening with Transformers, where, okay, we're stagnating and now it's really starting to plunge out. Mm-hmm. It's, if they reboot the thing, pun intended, that's like computer stuff. Ross, come on, I'm trying here.
It's a bit of a stretch, but I can get there.
If they reboot that with new vision, I mean, who would not give Star Wars?
You're just all over the place, aren't you?
Well, I'm thinking of Jar Jar and how, you know, they had to go backwards to go forwards, and I don't even know if they've gone forwards yet. Whatever. So a new vision's not a bad thing, but I think
Steve's
that's
not
a good place to
exactly
start.
an expert in the Star Wars lore. You have to forgive him. That's why I'm here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't want Transformers to go away. I definitely love seeing them on the silver screen. I think that definitely if you have a new director come in, just a whole new approach to how they want to depict the Transformers, I'm all for that. Because I would hate to see them, like I said, go completely off the reservation. But
I remember seeing the first movie with you. And we were at your place, and I think that's when Xbox brought out their, Microsoft brought out their
HD DVD.
HD DVD, yeah, I saw HD DVD. And that was the whole thing. We're like, okay, is HD DVD going to be in the market, or is Blu-ray going to captivate, you know, whatever? But you had your HD drive for your Xbox. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I made the trip to come visit you once, and you're like, oh, we have Transformers on HD or HD DVD. I'm like, I haven't seen it. You're like, you haven't seen it? Mm-hmm. I'm like, no.
It was beautiful in HD DVD. I loved it.
Yeah. So, and that's what it was just starting out too. Mm-hmm. That was one of the first movies that was released, which was awesome. And so I saw it on like, you know, your 50-inch screen, and your buddies were there and everything. And we were, I think, had some popcorn and some maybe beer or something. But
some heroin, some cocaine, you know, the usual.
We're smoking some bungs, whatever. And then there was all this mystery to it because I didn't do any research on the film at all. I was just like, oh, Transformers. Yeah, I watched it when I was 6. But there's all this mystery, that helicopter coming in.
Oh, blackout.
Blackout, yeah. And then the people are like, okay, he's not registering. He's not responding. And I'm thinking, okay, I know he's a Transformer. What's going to happen here? Because I see the pilot, you know, whatever. And then they had the whole, you know, transforming like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, but right now there's no mystery. That's something else that's out. We're expecting special effects. We're expecting Transformers. We know. I mean, the trailer. Even though I love Anthony Hopkins, how he speaks, it kind of gives away the entire story. It's like there's no mystery.
Well, it looks like they're once again playing with history, where somehow the transfer, like the Autobots, had a hand back in the King Arthur days or something, and that's one of the big issues I have with it is that. Now that the Dark of the Moon was a success in terms of them playing with the whole like Man on the Moon thing and how they fit the Transformers into that. Now they're kind of going off the deep end because they're showing the Transformers as being so much ingrained into human civilization. I mean, if you think about Revenge of the Fallen too, like it starts out with, you know, back during the old days, caveman days, Egyptians, everything else that they had a hand. I mean, like. They're going overboard with that,
right,
to the point where it's like, wait, I thought that like Earth was just a place that they had just recently discovered, right. And it's like it's so ingrained everywhere. It's just overkill for me. I don't want this story aspect to like this story component, to like indicate that like they've always been around and then they're just everywhere forever. It's like no, I like the idea of them, you know, first discovering Earth, then calling their buddies there, and then what kind of threat does that pose? Fine if you have, you know, maybe like a scant few that have been there who've discovered it beforehand, but then make it so that like the other Autobots or Decepticons who they come in contact with, you know, there is kind of a meet and greet discovery process. Of, wow, I didn't know you were here. I've been here for a minute anyhow. You know, whatever it is. So
they got to keep the voice actor for Optimus, though.
Oh, absolutely. That guy has seriously one of the coolest voices ever.
Stealing the children was a bad move.
And even that is like just, I mean, you don't quite have I don't even know what the je ne sais pas of what that actor that does. We need to try and figure out how we can meet that guy. It'd be awesome to get his autograph.
Yeah. You want to come on a podcast? you want to come to the Dallas Expo next time?
He might just show up. You never know. Yeah. Be pretty cool. I'll have to take you to SDCC, Steve. In any event, I don't think we're going to be checking that movie out in the theater, and I'll be curious to find out if I know anyone who actually does. Just looking from this headline of how it's already tanking, I don't think it's going to do very well domestically. I think people are fatigued of the approach that Michael Bay is doing. So,
but if anybody does see it, drop us a line on Facebook and Twitter. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Good, bad. Give us a rant. Give us are we right or we wrong or whatever it might be.
I love it. Yeah. Well, actually, we can just go ahead and sign off with that. The fact that you can find us on Twitter at Joygasm TV. You can find us on Facebook.com/Joygasm TV. And we definitely encourage that. We definitely want to be able to hear from you guys. I do know from some of the groups that I am a member of on Facebook, there are fans who really do stand behind this film. They thought it was fun. There were a lot of Autobots and Decepticons that they enjoyed watching. So we would certainly love to hear your guys' stance on that as well. So until then, happy gaming.
So long.